Welcome to the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast, where we explore some of the truly difficult questions and challenges that parents and their families face every day. Whether it's the sometimes painful process of parenting teens and young adults, navigating relationships with your partner and children, or you discovering your purpose and relationship with yourself, we will bring heartfelt and vulnerable conversations to the table to support and empower you. Our mission is to help you create a lifestyle full of love, passion, adventure, and influence. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast. So great to have you all back with us again. Erin, are you ready to do this?
I'm ready. Let's dive in.
Feeling so much better right now than I was just a few hours ago. It's funny how that works sometimes.
Yep, we kind of woke up and got the day going. Telling you, when
Yeah.
you get up so early, it can be challenging. And I told Chris earlier, we're only in like October 2nd today, and I woke up feeling like a little bit of Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, I think the winter doldrums are already hitting us.
I think so. It's just, I love going from summer back into fall. I love the structure again with kids being back in school and routines. And then at the same time, every now and then there's those moments where you're like, okay, this is what it's going to look like for the next 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But then again, on the flip side of that, we have a lot to look forward to because it's only October 2nd.
Yeah.
And so we still have 3 months left in the year. We just got back from a camping trip a week ago where we were kind of spending some time together, which was amazing, but
Yeah.
also plotting out what these next 3 months are going to look like. And so waking up this morning, even though there was all that yucky feeling, there was also a little bit of a hint of excitement mixed in there too, which leads us to what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. So we're gonna be talking about rituals today. It's the big
Yes.
reveal. And speaking of the
Do you
camping
think
trip,
people like get excited as we do about some of these reveals that we're going to do?
I think they do.
Like, what
Yeah.
are they gonna talk about today?
I know. But one of the rituals that Chris and I came up with on that camping trip is we decided that we are going to make this, instead of having resolutions at the end of the year or having like big 6 month or year long goals, every 3 months, we are going to get away from the home, from the house, from the kids, from routines, and get away for a couple nights and use that as some of the time to connect with each other, but also to set goals and get prepared for the next few months in our business and our lives. And we didn't even think about that when we were talking about today's topic, that was an amazing ritual we came up with a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago
And
when we were camping.
yeah, and we love camping, and we've been camping since we first met. It is one of our activities that we love doing, and then I think through that, we just learned that when we're out in nature, I know we're gonna talk about that a little bit later today, just the hiking and walking that we do together, but camping is just this immersive experience, and when you're in this immersive environment like that,
Mhm.
sometimes it ignites parts of yourself that brings out all these amazing ideas and feelings and goals and dreams and everything else in between. And so, yeah, it's a pretty
Yeah.
amazing thing.
Yeah, I think on that note, though, we can talk a little bit about Chris and I want to share with all of you today a couple of our own personal rituals and some rituals that we do as a couple, and then some ideas for family rituals, which I know can be challenging when you have teenagers. Let's talk about our ritual, our favorite ritual as a couple.
Well, hold on a second.
What?
I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Like, why
Oh,
don't we introduce, like, because I'm sure that our audience, and hello, audience.
yeah, we're just chatting amongst
I
ourselves
know.
here.
Hello, audience. I'm sure that you know that word ritual. But let us put it into what it means to us. And then why don't you start to think about too, like what it means to you? Because to us, a ritual is a very personal experience. And so, Aaron, do you want to kind of take a first stab at kind of describing what a ritual is to us?
Yeah, and thank you for that, Chris, because we actually recently we had a call with a parent about their child joining our coaching program, and they, emailed or texted me like a few days later and said, "Is your program religious?" And we couldn't figure out why they thought that. And I think it's
Yeah.
because we use the term ritual. So thank you, because not
Yeah.
everybody totally understands what a ritual is. So a ritual for me anyway is, it's a habit that you implement. I always say it's kind of a habit on steroids, right? It's something very almost, and it is almost spiritual in nature because it's something that you implement into your days and your weeks, and it grounds you. And it's something like Chris said, it's very personal and individualized to you. A habit is just something you sort of like can do almost mindlessly, often doesn't take a lot of intention. It's just a habit you kind of get into. We have good habits and we have bad habits. A ritual is typically something always positive, always intentional, always moving you forward towards your goals and dreams in your life. It's grounding. And for me, anyway, it becomes very spiritual in nature. It-
I think that's wonderful, and I love that that's what it means to you, and mine's not much different. I
Mhm.
think for me, it's, and there's so many different moments throughout the day, and I'll go back to what we introduced today, which was kind of how we woke up not feeling so great this morning.
Mhm.
I dragged myself to the gym, but, it's what you need in any given moment to move forward, to feel better, to support yourself, to get through something,
Mhm.
to overcome a challenge. It's just knowing what to connect with and what to do in any given moment to know that, what, your day does not need to be this straight line. Meaning, if it starts bad, it most definitely does not need to finish bad. Okay. Like it's not a linear straight line here. And so, with that being said, these rituals can be sprinkled throughout your day and throughout your life, which I think for the most part, Erin, we do semi successfully. I think we're
Mhm.
still working on adding some more in throughout the day. So, for example, our evening routines need to be probably beefed up a little bit
Yeah.
because, man, our evenings are rough after the long days we have.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think we do a really good job. But I think it's just knowing that just because your day starts rough and you're not feeling good, you're not motivated, you have no energy, that most definitely does not need to translate into the rest of your day. Okay. The day is
Yeah.
what you make of it.
Yeah, and I think, on that note, it's like it's so easy for Chris and I to we get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the
Oh,
morning. I said in our podcast last week, we're ready for bed at 7. So this is a great example of like our habit, right? We've gotten in a habit of like we just like plop on the couch and want to watch our favorite show. Nothing wrong with that, right? Like
right.
when
Right.
you're kind of like, as I say that, you might be like, well, what's wrong with that? And there is nothing wrong with it, but it's a feeling I have that I know there's more that I want to be doing before I go to sleep at night. I want to read more. I want to put my phone away a little sooner. I don't want to be looking at a screen right before I go to bed. And that's just for me because I know it makes me feel better. I feel more in control of my life. I feel more empowered. I feel more peaceful falling asleep at night. So that's just an example of how we can fall into habits, but when you create rituals for yourself, that can change everything and how you feel. And it's all about you knowing what you need.
Hopefully, as we're also now, Erin's going to share her favorite ritual. So, all of us, audience, you as well. So, parents and the families and teens and young adults, whoever is listening to this, hopefully, as we share our signature rituals, our favorite, most powerful rituals that we follow every single day,
Mhm.
you'll start to take this a little bit as an inspiration and say, what's going to be my signature ritual that I go out and really start to integrate into my life in a way that's going to help me in so many incredible ways.
Yeah. And you may already have, as I'm speaking, as we're talking to, you may have rituals that you don't even
Absolutely.
consider rituals, right? You haven't really
Right.
thought much about it. So, my favorite ritual and the one ritual that has been consistently a part of my daily life for quite a few years now is my morning meditation.
I knew you were going to say that.
So, I found meditation that's because I don't let anyone interrupt my time in the morning. Like, that is
Mhm.
my time. So, if I'm down in the living room meditating and Chris comes down for cereal or something before his workout, he knows. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go back upstairs. Don't mess with Aaron's morning meditation."
And I'm not exactly quiet. So, like,
He's
I
not
am the
quiet at all.
biggest distraction you could ever imagine.
Yeah. So I found meditation probably 20 years ago, and it's been a part of my life for a really long time. Before I had kids, when I found this meditation, I would do 30 to like 45 minutes of silent meditation almost every morning. And then, of course, I had kids and life got busy and there was a million ups and downs. So I never completely lost sight of it. It just wasn't consistent. And so I'd say in the last 3 or 4 years, though, it's been pretty much daily. I have days when I can't or I don't or I forget, but for the most part. And, for me, it's all about waking up before everybody else does when the house is still quiet and having that peaceful time to myself. I do mostly guided meditations, and I usually do about 15 minutes. And for me, that's enough. On the weekends, I try to do longer ones when I don't have to get the kids up and stuff. But, meditation for me is grounding. When I teach meditation, the best feeling I can give to it is it makes me feel like I'm home. Like I come home to myself, and I think hopefully, what that means. It's that warm, grounding feeling. I feel like I'm a warm blanket's being wrapped around me. And, through my meditation practice over the years, I have learned so much about self love and acceptance. I've learned about letting go. I've learned about forgiveness. And I choose meditations based on where I'm at that morning. So if I wake up some days, like I did today a little bit, feeling like, kind of like, here we go again, Groundhog's Day, I know I'm lacking in gratitude. Right. And so for me, that's what I know. When I'm complaining to myself or I'm frustrated, it's usually because I'm not in a place of gratitude. So I'll find a meditation on gratitude. Some days I need self forgiveness. I might be beating myself up about something. So I'll find a topic on that. And I just find these on YouTube. Um, but yeah, that is probably my favorite ritual. It's what I come back to every time. And, rituals really are a practice that really can become your identity. Like I identify now as somebody who's very spiritual, who meditates every morning. I have that practice down and that feels really good. And there is an energy and a confidence that comes from following through with your word and leaning into your rituals every day.
Yeah, I think you're so good at describing that experience. And
Mhm.
maybe that's part of the meditation is like I think all rituals and the ritual that I'm going to get into here in a second, which is my favorite ritual, it's funny because it's so different in terms of the activity itself, and yet the experience, the more that I thought about it, is so similar. And I think
Mhm.
ultimately all rituals, no matter what ritual it is, and whatever ritual you're thinking about at home, the real goal, the real experience is it's connecting you to that part of yourself that you need.
Mhm.
You absolutely need in order to be yourself, in order to feel the way that you need to feel. A
Mhm.
lot of what we coach on and talk about for ourselves all the time is like just having a good day,
Yeah.
and really getting clear on what that looks like and what it feels like, and then using these rituals to tap into your source.
So
And
what's
so
your
with that,
favorite ritual, Chris?
yeah, I was going to say, do you have any guesses?
The gym.
Oh, come
Exercise.
on. See, why am I so easy to read? I thought it was going to be this big reveal, this big surprise. People are like, what? No idea. Yeah, it's absolutely the gym. Just kind of thinking through it. So first off, I have been working out my entire life. Like I remember back in high school, like just getting passionate about exercise and working out. I found the gym at some point in high school, like actually starting to do some bodybuilding and just going through that process of learning what lifting weights was all about and how to do it and how it helped you. I don't think I really discovered it as a ritual though until maybe the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And so as I started to get further along in life, I became a father, I had a career. I started to notice that, I needed to integrate some of these rituals into my life so that I could show up to work as the best version of myself so I could do an amazing job. I needed to show up for my kids in the best way possible. I needed to show up in other areas of my life in the strongest way possible. And that I needed some things in order to make that happen. And so at some point, I don't remember exactly when, but I started going to the gym first thing in the morning. Like the main number one reason that I go to the gym is to have a good day. Is
Mhm.
it has become such a part of not just my day, but Erin, you and I were talking about this as we were prepping for today's podcast, is it's become part of my identity, just like meditation is for you. It is just part of who I am. I go to the gym so that I can have a good day. Before I get there, you know what? There's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of excuses why I don't get up in the morning. And yet, the second that I get out of bed, the second that I get my workout clothes on, and especially once I get in the car and start driving there, my mindset and everything starts to adjust to getting into that zone where I'm going to be working on myself for the next hour.
Yeah.
And
Your
so
alter
that's
ego appears too, like
it really
you're the
does.
rock all of a sudden.
It's just as soon as you put on the muscle shirt, you put
So
on the
true.
shorts and you walk in. And yeah, I mean, it is a great feeling. But what it really comes down to is like when you really get into some of the science behind it, it's when you're working out, you are releasing all the right chemicals that you need in order to literally have a good day, in order to
Mhm.
feel good. And whether it's dopamine, endorphins, like all of these chemicals are mixing together into this perfect cocktail so that you're going to feel the way that you need to feel. You're going to be a little bit more motivated, a little bit more confident. Your mind is going to be a little bit more clear so that throughout the day, then you can show up as this better version of yourself.
Mhm.
And so when I'm in the gym and I'm pushing myself and I'm overcoming resistance and I'm lifting heavy weights and I'm challenging myself and I'm working through some of the mental stuff, and whether it's anxiety or stress that I had before I got to the gym, when I'm in the gym, that's my opportunity to work through all of that.
Yeah.
So that by the time that I'm walking out those doors, like literally when I transition from the gym to walking out those front doors, I am then walking into my day, walking towards my day with more confidence, more motivation, and definitely more excitement.
I think the real, like, dopamine hit from rituals, and I said it before, but I think it's worth repeating, is you feel proud of yourself. When you come out of a ritual that you intentionally set for yourself and you know that it's lifting you up and it's something healthy and positive for you, and you kind of come out of that, whether it's the meditation or the gym, maybe it's writing in your journal, maybe it could be so many different things, but when you follow through with something which is a form of self-care where you are honoring yourself and caring for yourself, there is just this energy and confidence that comes from that. And that
Absolutely.
is really, it's not sometimes always even the act of what you're doing, it's that feeling of like, wow, I did it, I followed through, I feel really proud of myself. Because we are so, and I know this is a whole nother podcast, but we are so distracted all the time and there's so much going on out here that when you really take the time to honor yourself and follow through, that's the dopamine hit and that's what makes you feel
Absolutely.
really happy. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talk about your why a lot, but like that's what I'm connecting with when I'm doing my rituals is why am I doing this in the first place? How is this
Mhm.
going to help me? How is this going to help me move forward? And so when you're kind of using it for those types of reasons, you're aligning with what's important to you. So you're not just back to your point, Erin, when you were talking about the difference between habits and rituals. The
Mhm.
biggest difference between a habit and a ritual is that a ritual is much more intentional, much
Sure.
deeper. It's much more connected to your purpose.
And so, speaking of intentional, Chris and I had already talked about this part of the podcast before we got
Yeah,
on, which is a ritual that we do together. And this is something that we really truly have to be intentional about because this is something that Chris and I can easily get away from. We love to go to our favorite forest and go on nature walks. And we started doing this earlier in our relationship when we were first building our business, and blending our families. And there was a lot of newness and we were figuring
mhm.
a lot of things out. And we recognized when we went to our favorite forest and went out on a nature walk, we just discovered so many things about each other. So many of our big ideas and our bigger dreams and goals like came from those walks in the forest. We started building our business based on those walks and those
Yeah, we did.
conversations. And, we had a lot of we have these heartfelt conversations when we get out in nature together and walk and get our bodies moving. And, we can overcome arguments. We have great conversations about our kids. We have conversations about our dreams and goals and things we want to do, traveling and all these things we want to do. But believe me, we work from home. We have 4 kids between the two of us. Life gets so hectic and busy that can get put off really easily. And we know it. Like we are shorter with each other. We feel limited. Our mindset is like less abundant and more like fear-based. There's just so many clues for us now, years later, that we recognize. We look at each other like, it's time to get to the forest and get out for a freaking walk. We have got to get out of here. And the minute we do, we feel totally different. Our relationship shifts, our connection shifts. What do you want to say to that, Chris? I
No,
could go on and on.
I think most parents probably can relate to what you're describing, is
Mhm.
that it's so easy to get stuck in the day-to-day
Yeah.
between work and kids and family and sports and other activities. By the time that you're done with your day, you look back and you're just like, what just happened? You know,
Mhm.
you felt like it happened like just like that. And all the things that you wanted to get done that were really important to you got sidetracked. And then on top of that, there's so many other distractions that just show up throughout your day and throughout your life and that we're all dealing with all of the time. And so
Mhm.
when I think about us getting out for a nature walk or when we went camping, we were talking about that earlier. I think that's just understanding the importance of like creating what we call sacred space, but
Mhm.
also getting into new environments where you're able to disconnect from that day to day and ultimately create that connection, which I know that we cherish and value so much, and we've gotten so much benefit and so many great results.
Mhm.
You know, I was thinking about once again when we were kind of talking through this a little bit beforehand, is that some of our best ideas, some of what we're currently doing with our business and with our strategies and with our vision and where we're going from here, most of those ideas came from those nature walks.
Yeah.
You know, we went in not exactly sure where the conversation was going to go, but once you get into that environment and you
Yeah.
got the birds chirping and the frogs doing their thing and and you know, you just get into that environment and it's magical.
It opens up your senses and,
It really
that's
does.
something we recognize. You just breathe in that fresh air, the foliage, and it's so cool this forest we go to all these different times of the year, and it's so cool to see how it
It's
changes
pretty
through the
awesome.
seasons, where we live. We have all these different seasons. So,
But
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, you can kind of imagine us walking into the forest
Mhm.
with, you know, not quite sure like what's going to happen, but then walking out like with a smile on our faces because
Mhm.
we just came up with 2 or 3 ideas that we're super inspired by, we're super excited about.
Yeah.
We're more connected because, yeah, you're right, we worked through something or we just had a great conversation, so we feel closer.
Yeah, and sometimes walking in flat out, like, frustrated with each other, or we had an
Uh-huh.
argument, or we're just not in a good place. And somehow when we talk things through on these walks, there's less defense, right? Like, it's
Yeah,
less likely as a couple that one of us we listen a lot better when we're just walking and talking like that together. So a lot of times there's just closure to something, or at least we felt heard. If nothing else, sometimes we leave feeling heard. At the very best, we came up with this brilliant idea for our lives or our business or something with our family. So, what I want to say, if parents are listening to this, we want so much for our kids to have these things, right? I know you might be thinking like, "Oh, I wish my kids would do stuff like this." And I promise you the very best thing you can do is model that, right? Be an example of somebody who has rituals, as a parent who shows up more patient and playful because you're taking care of yourself by implementing some rituals. Um I do the same thing with my son. Like, I want him to do all these things and I get frustrated. And actually, it's my therapist reminds me all the time. She has 4 grown kids. And she says, Erin, trust me, be patient. He has all the resources around him. He's watching you and Chris every day with rituals, with your business, and you're modeling all of the right things. And it's not because we're perfect. We're modeling what it's like to
mm-mm,
have a fight, but then come back stronger afterwards. Or we're modeling to have a failure in our business, but figure things out because we're taking the time to take care of ourselves and work through the muck of all of that. Right. And so modeling that for your kids is one piece of it, but the most important thing is doing it for yourself because
mhm.
you are going to show up stronger, more patient, more grounded. And that kind of leads us into the final piece that we want to bring up, which are family rituals. And
Absolutely.
that can be challenging, right? It's easy when they're little. Oh my gosh, I remember the rituals with my kids and the rhythm we had to our days and the routines. It was so different. But as they get older and get busy, it's really hard. So I don't want to make this sound at all like it should just be easy to plan family game night or go on a camping trip as a family, because
Mhm.
it's challenging. Well, I will say though, when you stand your ground and you do something, I try to go for bi-weekly or even once a month, having a family
Mhm.
game night, having a family movie night, making sure we all get out in nature together. When we do that, everything feels different for us and we just all get to connect differently as a family. What do you want to say about that, Chris?
I think it's all about connection.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back real quick to what you were saying about modeling, because I think that ultimately, all of these rituals are about taking really good care of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something that took me a long time in my life to fully appreciate, because I was a doer and I wasn't always a person that really paid attention to what I was doing to my body. I was an athlete. I was a runner for many, many years. And I will tell you that I ran through injuries stubbornly many times. I pushed myself through things that I shouldn't have pushed so hard through. In retrospect, I've learned so much by doing things the wrong way. And so what I've learned over the past, 15, 20 years is just the importance of slowing down from time to time and
Mhm.
taking such good care of yourself. Because if you take good care of yourself, you take good care of your relationship. Erin's right. Like, everything around you also improves. Everything around you starts to get so much better. The people in your life, your kids, your
Mhm.
family, your friends, people that you meet along the street, or your neighbors, like they start to take notice. They're like, what are they up to? And
Yeah.
it's inspiring. That's the really cool thing about a lot of these rituals is it's a lifestyle. It's not just something that you're doing because you enjoy doing it or that it serves a role in your life. It's also a lifestyle that embodies who you are, both individually and, as we were talking about a little bit now, as a couple and as a family.
Yeah.
And I love just thinking about that from the outside, is just the difference that it can make for everybody that starts to observe some of these things. And back to family game night, yeah, absolutely. I think that even though your kids are gonna say no, like, "You know
Mhm.
what? I'd rather be on my phone, or I'd rather be out with my friends or doing this or that," like, anything
Mhm.
except spending time with my family. Once they start playing that game, and once the family really starts coming together and you've overcome some of that resistance,
Yep.
something pretty magical happens. And we've seen it happen time and time again. Is everybody loosens up, the mood lightens up, and that connection that Erin just described or talked about starts to happen, and
Mhm.
everybody has an amazing time. Now, getting to that point, that might be a whole nother podcast topic.
Oh
Like,
my
how do I get
goodness.
my kids to actually do some of these things? And we will spend some time, of course, in the future, like,
Yeah.
talking about implementing habits and rituals and doing some of these things.
Yeah,
But
getting past the eye rolls and the excuses, "I have to
absolutely.
work," or "I have to go study with so and so," and we hear every single one of them, trust us.
And we think we're the coolest parents ever,
Yeah, they
and they
don't think
still don't
so.
wanna hang out with us. I don't get it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so the family rituals are really important, and just trying to get those implemented even once a month is really great. And I think I mentioned before, I coach a lot of moms, and so for the moms out there, it's I coach so many women who truly don't even see the lack of time that they should create for themselves, the lack of self-care, putting everybody's schedules and lives before their own. And trust me, I'm prone to do it all the time. Chris is so wonderful at reminding me that I need to take better care of myself sometimes. But what I want to say to all of the moms out there who don't feel like they have any time for themselves, whether you work full time, you run the house, you take care of the kids. I know what it feels like to feel like you have to do everything. I think more than ever, we feel that way as moms. But if you don't start taking small amounts of time for yourself every day, and this is a great opportunity to start incorporating just a little ritual into your daily routine, you're never going to get to that next level where you can start having more time to yourself or create bigger goals and dreams for you. So start small. Start with a small ritual. Maybe it's a bath, every evening. Maybe it's getting up early and just sitting with your cup of coffee by yourself in silence for 10 minutes, whatever that is. That's how you get started.
Yeah, and I think we want for everybody, hopefully a big takeaway from this is that, you're taking some inspiration back home and you're getting out a piece of paper and a pen and you're writing down, like, what do I need? What is
Mhm.
my signature ritual? Just one. It doesn't have to be 5. It definitely doesn't have to be 10. Just one ritual
Yeah.
that you do every single day can play such an important role towards you having a great day, towards maybe having a great week and changing everything in your life. And some of the ones that we shared today are some of our signature ones. Now, they're not all the rituals that we do
Right.
or all the rituals that we talk about and coach on, but these are the big ones that make a really big difference for us.
And remember that it's not about what the ritual is initially. Like if you are struggling to
Yeah.
figure out, I'm not even sure like what's super important to me right now. Remember, it's the act of actually doing it. It's following through. It's keeping your word to yourself. It's being consistent. That's what really makes you feel on fire and makes you feel good. And you got to give it a little time. You give it a couple weeks of doing it every day and implementing it every day. It's the act of showing up for yourself that makes the difference. And eventually, by doing that, what's truly important to you will open up to you. And some of those rituals can become a lot more personal, individual to you.
Here's the challenge to our audience and maybe to us as well.
Okay.
All right. It's to take this message and now start to figure out what your signature ritual is and start it up today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till 2 days from now.
Mhm.
Like, start it today. All right. Get serious about it. Come up with a little bit of a plan and just get your body moving, get yourself moving, take action. Like, otherwise, you know what happens is distractions show up. Your own thoughts and feelings start to tell you you don't have time for that, or that's going to be too hard to do or to implement into your day. But no, don't
Mhm.
worry about that stuff. Just go out and do it and notice the difference that it makes in terms of how you feel, in terms of just the results that you get as a result of doing that. Have fun with it, but take action, okay? Because this one thing can make such an incredible difference in
Yeah.
your days. We
Yeah.
promise you that.
So good. And make sure you leave some notes in the comments. Let us
Yes.
know what your ritual is. Let us know how it's going for you. We love to know how you're doing and that you're taking some of this and really implementing it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
It was
Thank you
great to
so
be
much,
with you
guys.
today, everybody. What a great topic and what a great audience. And we are honestly so happy that you tuned in today. We're inspired by you and your family and your kids. Have a great day and a great week, and we'll talk to you on our next episode.
See you later,
See
guys.
you
Have a good
guys.
one.
Bye-bye.
We are so thankful for you and your beautiful family and hope you found something inside today's episode that brought you hope, inspiration, and most importantly, a path forward. If you're interested in evolving your relationship, giving your kids the most important gift of personal growth and development, or are a mom looking to reconnect with your confidence and become empowered in all areas of your life, then schedule a discovery call with us today. Our mission is to help as many families as possible find their purpose, and that starts with you. See you in the next episode, my friends. To schedule a discovery call with us today, visit myextraordinarypurpose.com/discovery. That's myextraordinarypurpose.com/discovery.